While the NBA has built a special reputation and remains a source of entertainment, it's had its fair share of controversies and scandals over the years. Over the course of its history, there have been some major scandals that the NBA should be ashamed of and definitely wants everyone to forget. Let's look at the list of all those cringeworthy and shameful moments from NBA history. Starting with number 15, the Gold Club. In Atlanta, there was a hot spot for athletes and celebrities named the Gold Club. It was basically known for giving sexual favors to athletes, and it included quite a few NBA players and legends, including the likes of Patrick Ewing, Larry Johnson, Dennis Rodman, Reggie Miller, and more. During the trial, it was revealed that dancers were given up to $1,000 for different X-rated shows and for performing sexual acts for certain athletes. Once the owner Steve Kaplan was found guilty and sentenced, the NBA tried its best to cover it up because the scandal proved to be a source of embarrassment for the NBA. Then at number 14, Tim Hardaway's homophobic comments. Despite having a fantastic career, Tim Hardaway produced a moment that the NBA just can't live with. If they could rewrite history, they would definitely keep this outburst out of it, and while you can't really blame the NBA for Hardaway's comments, you can't help but feel that they could crack down harder on him. Hardaway was asked about John Amaechi coming out of the closet and declaring his homosexuality, and he responded, "I hate gay people."
Well, I hate gay people, so I let it be known. I don't like gay people.
I hate being around gay people, and I am homophobic. In fact, he went on to add that it's something that shouldn't be allowed in the U.S. or anywhere in the world.
In the world for that, or in the United States for it. So yeah, I don't like it.
After that, at number 13, Latrell Sprewell can't control his anger. Latrell Sprewell wasn't exactly a nice person, and he always had that extra volatility in him, on the court and off it. But the most severe incident occurred during practice on the 1st of December in 1997. Sprewell ended up choking head coach P.J. Carlesimo because he yelled at the star to make crisper passes. Sprewell pointed out that he wasn't in the mood, and the coach should stay away. Carlesimo then approached him, and when Sprewell repeated himself but the coach didn't listen, it ended with Carlesimo on the ground, while Sprewell had his hands around his neck, threatening to kill him. They were broken up immediately, but Sprewell emerged some 20 minutes later to punch his coach. Definitely not the proudest moment for NBA. Moving on, Kermit Washington's brutal punch. This remains the greatest punch in the history of humanity. We're sure you've seen the video, but you probably need to revisit it because this was an insanely good punch, but still also one of the lowest moments in NBA history. Rudy Tomjanovich only approached to calm things down and check on Kermit Washington, but Washington wasn't having any of it as he delivers a brutal knock, and this was just a terrible moment. All in all, the players never made up after that, and we can't help but feel sorry for Rudy. Also at number 11, Len Bias' death. One of the darkest moments in the history of the game came back in 1986. A talented youngster became the second overall pick of the 1986 draft, Len Bias. Unfortunately though, Len Bias never even played a single game in the NBA. While it's a what-if moment in the NBA, we have to say that it's much darker because of his tragic death just 2 days after being selected in the draft as a result of a cocaine overdose. That exposed the underlying drug issue prevalent in the NBA during the 80s, and NBA tried really hard to cover it up instead of actually taking measures to prevent it. Making the top 10, Derrick Rose's scandal. The NBA blew up when it was revealed that Derrick Rose had to revisit the courts for another case, and this was because he was facing a $21.5 million lawsuit, which was filed by Anonymous X, who claimed that Rose, together with 2 friends, sexually violated her. It was a disgusting moment, and even though Rose was cleared of the charges eventually, even after his accuser's tearful testimony. But all in all, a terrible moment that everyone in the NBA will remember, but also, at the same time, try their best to forget because of the shame it brought to the league. Coming in at number 9, Jason Kidd's domestic abuse. An NBA legend, Jason Kidd was one of the greatest players to step foot on the court, but off the court, he was an awful person. Back in 2001, Kidd was with the Suns when news came out of his arrest, and he pled guilty to domestic abuse for assaulting his wife. The Suns wanted nothing to do with it and immediately traded the 10-time All-Star to the Nets. The NBA has since tried to sweep it under the rug, but maybe they should actually try to implement a better way of recruiting players. Up next at number 8, Gilbert Arenas is nuts. It might only be considered a stupid and dangerous stunt, but it easily had the potential to spiral out of control and become much worse than it already was. Gilbert Arenas, playing for the Wizards, apparently used to bring guns to the locker room, and while he was in violation of the laws of Washington, it obviously was a low point in the NBA too. That signaled the end of Arenas' stardom, and he ended up losing his career and money when it was revealed that he'd pulled out 4 guns on a teammate. At number 7, the 2006 NBA Finals. One of the worst moments in the history of the NBA came in 2006 when the Mavericks were winning the finals 2-0 against the Heat and were absolutely destroying them in the 3rd game. Suddenly, the tables were turned by the referees, and it was was revealed that Tim Donaghy, the referee on the night, was guilty of match fixing. It was awful because Dallas never recovered from it and ended up losing the finals, and this remains, quite possibly, the worst ever moment. Tim Donaghy has been advised to steer clear of Dallas, rightly so. Also at number 6, Dallas Mavericks harassment scandal. This is a truly awful moment in NBA history, and credit to the NBA for taking some steps, but they really were out of options too. What can you do at such a point? The Mavericks were found to be guilty of violating women's rights and being involved in sexual harassment cases with their employees. It was a truly disgusting moment for the organization, and it's not only a dark moment in their history, but also in the history of the NBA. But for once, they didn't try to hide it, and that's progress. Making the top 5, Malice at the Palace. The worst ever brawl in sporting history occurred in November 2004 between the Indiana Pacers and Detroit Pistons. A fan threw a soda can at Ron Artest, and the rest is history. What was already a physically challenging affair turned into a truly horrendous moment as Artest and Wallace went at each other following a hard foul. What followed was pandemonium. Both benches emptied and went at each other like animals. But one thing died down. An idiot fan from the crowd threw a glass of Diet Coke on an artist, and Artest didn't hold back at that point. He went totally berserk, but at the wrong fan. Then other fans and other Pacers players got involved, and it just became very ugly. 5 Pacers fans were criminally charged. Many players were sentenced to a year of probation, community service, fines, and anger management, and were also given heavy suspensions. Followed by number 4, Jason Williams violence. This is what happens when you don't take action at the right time. Jason Williams was a good player, but he had a history of violent tendencies, and they were never addressed by the NBA in particular. From breaking beer mugs over a patron's head to accusations of firing semi-automatic weapons in parking lots. Williams was just a super violent fella, but his worst incident came after his retirement when he accidentally shot a 55-year-old limousine driver, Kostas Christofi, at his mansion in New Jersey. The NY Post reported that Williams had been playing with a shotgun before he accidentally fired the weapon and ended up killing Christofi, another majorly dark moment in NBA history that has been kept under wraps. Into the top 3, Kobe's scandal. Kobe is one of the most loved players of all time during his career. He was accused of a sex scandal and was arrested shortly after knee surgery in 2003. All hell broke loose. Adidas dropped him, and even though Kobe was cleared after the accuser, decided not to testify, many people changed their perception completely about Kobe. In fact, that led to his Black Mamba art, as Kobe tried to reinvent his image and actually did it to great success. But that allegation ended up living with him, and many people hated him after his retirement as well. The penultimate pick, Donald Sterling's scandal. While the Clippers were doing well in the 2014 playoffs, the racist owner, Donald Sterling, had other plans behind the scenes. He was recorded making racist comments by his mistress.
Come to my games. Don't bring black people and don't come.
And once it was made public, it caused outrage throughout the country. NBA players demanded action and wore their jerseys inside out, and NBA's hand was forced, and they banned Sterling for life, forcing him to sell the team to Steve Ballmer. Similar to the current ongoing crisis in Phoenix, but this was much, much worse, and the NBA, for once, did the right thing. Finally, at number 1, MJ's gambling. MJ is the perfect player. The GOAT is Ernest, but his Achilles heel was his gambling addiction, and it proved to be a huge problem because the NBA refused to do anything about it even after finding out about it. The worst thing was, apparently they wanted to cover up for it because they didn't want to tarnish MJ's golden image, and they had let him suffer for it. Many believe this was the reason he took his first retirement as well. Either way, it just goes to show the lengths NBA would go to protect their product, basically at any cost. That's a wrap for this video. Is there any other scandal that should make the list? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.